you got the Braum because of the champions you're playing against. Throw down the Glacial Fissure, disrupt Gimgoon and Doinby from diving onto the back line. The big factor here that I'm seeing though is in the jungle matchup. Whenever a Nocturne's locked in, you gotta wait till that level 6 point. You're pretty much a non-factor in ganks otherwise. So this is opening up TN to have free control of this early game and try and take it over again for FPX.
Well, it's time for game number 2 of this series. FPX 1-0 up, and they're looking to crush RNG underfoot. If it's anything like game number 1, FPX look like a heavy favorite, but with a weird draft coming on through, with all of the jungle bans, everybody's eyes need to be on Xiaolongbao here as he brings Nocturne to the Rift.
And how does Xiaolongbao want to try and root through this jungle? Because he really needs to avoid Tien in a lot of these situations. It becomes a lot easier when we look towards these solo lanes. Longxing and Xiaohu will both have push pressure, so should give at least a little bit of respite to Xiaolongbao, because you won't have to worry about Tien invading his jungle or any funny business in that respect.
Here we go, late invade coming out from RNG. Doinby though is going to be the target. He does just about get away from the Winter's Bite. We'll be able to trade back slightly onto Xiaohu, but certainly not a favorable trade for him. And once again, we see the late invades coming through from the side of RNG. This time it's going to be onto the blue buff. Xiaolongbao going to be able to grab that for himself.
This will be spotted by FPX, so they know, look, we're on a split map sort of basis. So watch Longxing and how he positions at this wave. Should let this crash in, allow Gimgoon to hit the wave first. So even with this favorable matchup, it'll be Longxing who's taking a step back in this early game.
This time as well, going to be Gimgoon on the Aatrox for the side of FPX. And it's very much going to be a comfort champion for him. It's something he's played a lot of. We are going to see the Electrocute here for the side of Xiaolongbao. Obviously Nocturne, you're going to be one of those AD junglers, but very much an assassin from the jungle.
The Electrocute will help out massively in this dive potential we were talking about. The problem I'm seeing though is watch where Longxing is. They're now moving across with Xiaohu.
Tian could be in trouble here. Stun not available yet though for Longxing, and it means that Tian can just crawl away from the play on that one. And actually might look for a repeat gank there. Tian moving back on the minimap. You can see him going for Longxing. Flash for the knockup. Longxing has to use his own flash, but he's slowed, and he will be finished off. Yet again, we see the first blood on the Aatrox.
Longxing used his Q on the wave, which pushed it too far forward. And not even Xiaolongbao, Tian, even though he only did 2 camps, was close enough to soak the experience from minions dying in lane, hit the level 3, and managed to get the gank off. That was Longxing not respecting this split in the map that we talked about earlier.
Fantastic stuff coming out. Once again, Tian the one to start things off for FPX. He's the one that, I mean, actually, I'm telling a lie. Last time around, it was Xiaolongbao that started the play onto the likes of Tian, but it was the rest of FPX that collapsed. This time, it's Tian starting things off.
Originally, RNG did try to collapse in the play, but they didn't. I don't know why they tried to, because they're behind in people on that side. You see as well, Doinby now having a great time in this mid lane against the Rumble, because once you start to get these Kingslayers off, you can take these early trades. But in the bottom side, we're seeing trading again, though Crisp will just walk away with nobody taking much damage.
Yep, not much going to be able to come out there. With a Nautilus and a Braum in the bottom lane, both going to be very, very tanky, both going to be able to protect their carries in these kind of situations.
Tien has spotted out Xiaolongbao, calling for assistance. Look at where Doinby is. He can come to help.
Oh no, Xiaolongbao, you can't. Oh, hey, no, it's all fine.
No, it's not. Doinby's
no,
here.
Doinby's coming in as well. He's going to have some movement speed. Xiaohu here to protect him. Flash had to come through. It's actually a teleport used by Gimgoon.
Well played by Xiaolongbao to get away from that. I thought Doinby was going to rotate faster, so then they'd actually have to collapse before Xiaolongbao to get to safety.
Big hook onto Betty there. Ming going to be there with the Unbreakable, but still Betty gets punished by the likes of LWX. Now onto Xiaohu. The action will never end. Voidseeker comes on through. There's going to be a knock-up as well. Xiaohu has to use his heal. Will walk away with his life, though.
Tien is in full control of this early game, and he is making it known. Rek'Sai already against the more popular picks that we see in the jungle, like the Lee Sins and the Jarvans, takes over levels 1 to 5. You put him up against a Nocturne who leaves even longer to scale, well, Rek'Sai is going to have a field day. Gank in the top lane, successful. Put him behind Xiaohu in the mid lane, successful. And FPX at any point in time can turn towards this dragon and pick it up successfully as well.
FPX once again with the early control here. 400 gold ahead, but Xiaolong Bao is here, as is Xiaohu. So I don't think Tian can walk away from this one. Or I think he can walk away. I don't think he can take the chicken.
We can see them both backing away here. All that Tian is trying to do is stop Xiaolong Bao from hitting level 6 as much as possible. If you delay this Nocturne from getting to that point, well, it works out so heavily in their favor, because that's the point where this Nocturne comes online. With stealing away chickens, stealing away whatever camps he can, even disrupting Xiaolong Bao on the enemy chickens makes it a lot easier for FPX.
Certainly will. When we take a look at the CS numbers across the board, much more even this time around. None of these mid lane, top lane swapping shenanigans going on, and it means that things are going to be a lot more stable for both teams as we start things off. Neither team going to have massive priority on the Dragon as of right now, and neither team really going to be looking for that either.
Xiaohu starting to lean up towards this top side. Does have the pushing power here against Doinbi when the mana from Doinbi starts to run low. Xiaohu not limited by any sort of mana, means that he can push in this wave again and maybe look to make a roam up towards the top side with Xiaolong Bao sitting here. But it looks like with where the wave is positioned, may not want to go for it, although Gimgoon is reading this, backing off the top side.
Xiaolong Bao obviously on this Nocturne. Oh, Gimgoon's in trouble. Equalizer immediately dropped World Ender used just for the movement speed. Gimgoon will walk away with his life. Nice little roam up from the mid and the jungle here from the side of RNG. That's going to net a plate for Longxing.
This is the advantage you can gain over time as the Rumble. With constantly shoving in, you're forcing Doinbi to make a choice. Do I try and go for these trades onto Xiaohu, or do I try and push out this wave? Either side, you're going to end up using all that mana, give more opportunity towards Xiaohu to roam, and does get Gimgoon out of lane. But Betty and Ming have moved up to try and protect the roam on the mid lane, which means they're losing out towers on the bottom side.
Another plate going the way of Longxing, though, so it's going to be a nice situation for him, getting a bit of early gold on this Renekton. Obviously, already has the Executioners for the dueling potential up against the likes of an Aatrox. We'll be able to head away back to lane and spend some of that gold now as FPX finally decide it's time to turn on towards this dragon.
Xiaolong Bao has just hit that level 6 point. Starting to move up towards this Rift Herald as well. Longxing can teleport in to try and assist them here, and they just make the trade Dragon for Rift Herald.
Yeah, very reasonable trade to make, but most importantly, with 2 plates already gone onto that top lane tower, if this did go top for Longxing, they could finish off the first tower of the game pretty early.
Gimgoon will be able to spot this out. Just place the ward over, so knows that Xiaolong Bao is now on this objective. So FPX will start to move. You can already see LWX and Crisp moving up to stop them doing that play you just talked about, Munchables.
Looks like maybe they've changed their mind though. LWX heading back down towards the bottom side of the map. And I think ultimately they moved too slow to try and stop any kind of Herald plays happening, and it does mean that the objectives are traded evenly in the end, and everyone kind of resets again for a second.
It's not about getting the play to happen. It's about sending the potential message that something might happen. And that's all they wanted to do. With LWX and Chris moving up, fine, we've got to back off as RNG. Cannot try and go for this play with the fear of being collapsed on. Betty can't roam as quickly because of where the wave was situated in the bot lane. Now, though, that's not an issue. Although, as I say that, Ming, or Crisp even has gone straight from base towards the top side, expecting this play from RNG.
Xiaohu's here as well as Xiaolong Bao. I don't think Xiaolong Bao's been spotted, but I think he realizes there's way too many people missing on the map right now.
RNG are respecting backtimers here. They know Crisp has already returned to base before LWX, so we'll get out on the map faster, and that's where Crisp was moving to. So understanding that we can't go for this play in the current situation because we don't know where Crisp is, we don't know where Tian is, but already RNG are putting big indicators that they want to try and get Longshin snowballing once more. A different style from what we usually expect from RNG, which is towards Xiaohu and towards Betty and these dragons.
It does feel like, though, with the composition that RNG are running, Xiaolong Bao is quite happy to play this much more slow, you know, farm up in the early game style, because Nocturne, you do need a couple of items for yourself before you're really going to have too much of an impact.
He's been selfish in two ways. He's getting items for himself, he's taking it slow, getting the levels for him, but he's also helping his dive buddy. Because he knows at the end of the day, Longshin's going to be the one that they go hand in hand to ruin LWX's day. So the more gold you can get onto this Renekton, the better of a time and the better Xiaolong Bao is going to look in these team fights.
Looking to set his team up for success here. Now moving down towards the bottom side of the map. Tian is going to be nearby as well, but actually heading off towards his Grom. You have to bear in mind that Xiaolong Bao only has to be vaguely nearby to influence these fights, whereas Tian, he has to be much closer. He has to be really on the play.
This is not the way I expected this game to go coming into today. When we looked at what happened in our summer finals of 2019, still a slower game, but much more kills when it got to the 11-minute mark. People outperforming and pushing themselves to the limit to make this game, to put themselves as the #1 for summer 2019. Now though, FPX are pretty handily running away with this early game, and even though it doesn't look like it on the gold lead, it's the pressure they're putting down with the movements like this that are going to start to snowball that lead, getting turret plates for themselves and getting advantages.
Well, they found an advantage in the bottom lane as Jimby moves down to that side of the map to look to try and get a first tower, but in the meantime, same thing happens for RNG just on the top side of the map. It's going to be Langxing that's going to be the benefactor of this play. Who gets the first tower, though? Looks like it will be RNG.
This is something we're seeing slightly different from 10.4 to 10.5. You're getting the Rift Herald put down by the junglers, but the junglers are abandoning helping out on the push. Because the changes to Bulwark, if you end up sticking around too long, giving extra armor to that tower, it makes it a lot harder for you to benefit off that tempo play. So now Longshin getting solo gold, a big croc on the top side. FPX, though, are trying to answer on this bottom side, with Xiaolong Bao moving in tandem with Xiaohu to give support.
Doomby actually pretty low on mana there, though, so they do need to be cautious not to bite off more than they can chew. Xiaohu just going to shove the mid lane in the meantime and force Doomby back on into his own lane. Dragon going to be spawning in 20 seconds. FPX the one to get the first one of this game. They were in complete control of that objective last game as well. Let's see if they can get #2 here.
Doinby won't have access to the equalizer, though. Well, almost have access to the equalizer. The timer isn't quite finished on Xiaohu. So if RNG can start this up right away, that big ultimate that we were talking about for both sides won't be available for FPX. And with that call, it looks like FPX don't want to try and fight this.
So with the Mountain Drake being taken here, we're going to have yet another Ocean Soul on our hands. We saw how impactful it can be in game #1. We saw FPX, once they got that 4th Drake, they were basically unkillable, especially Doomby on the Aatrox. We'll see if that's going to be a similar situation here in this game, or whether or not RNG will be able to continue to contest for control here.
Watch where Doinby's going to move, though. Forcing Xiaohu back underneath the turret and low health, Doinby's going to start this roam down towards the bottom side. The wave is crashing into the turret, and with Tian here, they're going to try and crack open this bottom lane turret. Betty and Ming, expecting this play, have already started to move away from this bottom side.
Yeah, correct thing to do as well. Oh, 3 seconds until the last plate. He's not going to get it in time. Oh, it's a disaster. Doesn't get the last plate. 160 gold down the drain. Feels bad, man.
It does, especially when FPX moved away that little bit too quickly. So even if they had Crisp stay for one auto attack, would have helped out. But in the long run, not going to mean too much. LWX is very quickly ramping up in this scenario. Essence Reaver completed, just picked up a bunch of turret plates. Now come back away and start working towards that Infinity Edge. FPX are hitting their stride coming in towards this mid game, whereas RNG will need a little bit more time. You want to see Betty come up towards 2 to 3 items before he can really take on a lot of the damage that's coming out from the FPX side.
Yeah, and I mean, you already mentioned the amount of damage coming out from FPX, but here we go. Langxing up towards the top side. We do have the Paranoia popped here by Xiaolong Bao. It's literally just a deterrent, though. They just want to stop anything happening. Doinb actually dropping the equalizer, was about to time out.
And this is a problem now. Again, equalizer not available for Doinb at these big objectives. They did try and use it on the play on the bottom side, didn't end up needed, but RNG actually just calling this, saying, hey, look, you're gonna crack towers with the Rift Herald, we're just gonna take yours straight off.
Yeah, Rift Herald doesn't do anything if the other team already had that objective. All you're going to do is be able to equalize.
They can still move across. This is going down pretty slowly, although with LWX coming over, they decide to back away. And already are Xiaohu moving down towards this bottom side to collect the wave and start to work on the last remaining outer turret.
There is a teleport available for Gimgoon, but he's going to be the only one. Oh, Ming actually caught up here. Unbreakable keeps him alive for now. Knock up there, though. Good amount of CC and force the flash. Now onto the likes of Doinb. He's going to be stunned, exhausted, knocked up, and almost taken down. Walks away, but Betty finishes the kill now. Onto the likes of Gimgoon. Another flash forced, and RNG equalize the kills.
Doinb is an ult bot right now. If he doesn't have the equalizer up and available, yes, you can steal away the chains of corruption, but not going to have the same impact in these fights. And with LWX, the main supplementary damage for FPX on the top side, RNG are able to take the fight in the mid lane. Still, towers trade on both sides, so when all said and done, very small gold lead for RNG, but nothing to write home about.
Very much a game of inches so far here in game number 2 of the match of the week. FPX 1-0 in the series, but right now they're 1 tower down and just under 1,000 gold down as well.
RNG though have done a good job in stalling out this early game. We said, hey look, Tien's on this Rek'Sai, should be in control. Now though, Tien is starting to hit a point where in the matchup versus the Nocturne, he's going to fall off. Doesn't have the same dive potential, can't get onto the likes of Betty, can support LWX in the backline, but that's pretty much this Rek'Sai is all going to be capable of at this stage of the game. When we look towards the top lane as well, Langxing completed that play to the Rune King, now going up against Gimgoon's Aatrox with the Executioner's Call in the back pocket, will also win out in these matchups. The only one realistically where RNG are behind is Betty, because we want Betty to get up towards the Blade of the Rune King, the Guinsoo's, and the Runaan's Hurricane, whereas LWX is hitting that sweet spot of the 2 items and a great bullet time for FPX.
Vision control now being gleaned for the side of RNG as they move towards this Drake. And it looks like by the looks of things, FPX are going to be quite happy to just concede, at least for now. They're going to be getting some recalls off. Crisp heads back to base. 25 seconds until this Drake spawns.
FPX need to have pre-controlled vision before they go for a lot of these plays. They are, though, going to toss down the Rift Herald in this mid lane, try and force RNG away, but it's put down a little bit too early. Still 10 seconds before the Dragon, so RNG can respond to this and still fight at the Drake.
Oh, that's going to be Chains of Corruption. In they go onto the likes of LWX, and the equalizer will burn him to a crisp. Speaking of crisp, he goes down as well. It's 2 for RNG, and they're the ones to move to the Baron.
You can see exactly how these team fights are playing out for RNG. Picture perfect. Xiaolong Bao goes in on the back line. Even has the stopwatch there to keep himself safe as the equalizer from Xiaohu finishes things off. FPX are trying to do the exact same, but unfortunately, their dive potential isn't a semi-global like the Nocturnes.
Now, as the Dragon goes the way of RNG, that's 2-1 in their favor, 3-1 in terms of kills, and a 2,000 gold lead. We're looking at a very different game 2 to how we started this series.
And FPX will struggle as this game goes on. You can see here, great ultimate from Betty onto LWX, and even with the cleanse, it doesn't matter. There's too much happening in the back end of these fights to deal with, and this is what we said in Champ Select. LWX will struggle to set up in these team fights. Is definitely not getting the bullet time any time close to going off at that point. And now FPX have got to go, okay, how do we try and win out in these fights? How do we try and play out this game? The best option for them is to go into a split push. Have Gimgoon off from the side, have Doinb off from the side, and use these double TPs. Spread RNG out. If they can't have the dive buddies of Langxing and Xiaolong Bao working together, it becomes a lot easier for them to navigate these team fights in the 3v3.
Well, Tower's going to be evened up now as FPX finally finish off that third. That is going to mean that no tier 1s remain on the map. When it comes to control of neutral objectives, neither team will have that defensive advantage that the tier 1s will offer.
This favors RNG again, though, because if you've got less places to run to from the Nocturne, that works out wonderfully for Xiaolong Bao. I'd love to see Xiaolong Bao move in towards a GA now. You've already got enough damage. You've got the Umbro Glaive there completed, so a bit of lethality. Not the highest lethality item, but I think the GA, having that second time around in these team fights will be so much more valuable. Because when you've got to go so deep onto the likes of LWX, well, at least keeping that threat up in these fights can start to get this snowball going, or even have you kill LWX, survive yourself, and then not give the gold over to FPX.
Absolutely, and you can see as well, he's gone for the Scryer's Orb Trinket because he's gone for that Umbral Glaive. You kind of don't need the Sweeper in the same way. You have the ward clear potential already, so you can focus less on removing their wards, focus more on getting your own vision, being able to spot out these objectives. And also, the Scryer's Orb for Nocturne allows you to get onto your targets for Paranoia.
Which is pretty crucial, because as we said, FPX have the opportunity to move in to these objectives early. Well, maybe not so much now with the way RNG are playing, but at one point had an opportunity to move in and get control of these objectives. And if you've got LWX hiding off on the side, it makes it a lot more difficult for RNG to execute these fights. So having that Scryer can make the big difference in spotting out where the AD carry of FPX is, circulating in on top of them, and ruining the chance of FPX picking up their second victory in this series.
Ultimate's going to be popped down in the bottom lane, but Gimgoon is not winning this fight out at all. Langxing opting not to go for the flash just yet, but Betty's here, so is Ming. There's no way out. Oh, and a kill gifted onto the Varus. Best case scenario for RNG. And now, up in the top lane as well, Equalizer goes down. Xiaolong Bao gets healed up by the likes of Xiaohu. The four-man play from FPX. They want to answer, and they'll get a Nocturne for their troubles. Make that two as well, as it's a double kill for LWX.
Xiaohu far too far overextended. You've got three members of RNG in the bottom side. You can't be pushed up farming that wave. Now FPX with jungler and mid laner gone can turn towards the Baron.
This is a big, big issue for the side of RNG. Bear in mind, Dominus not available for Langxing, even if he TPs in here. Ming and Bei, they want to contest this one. They've got vision. Bear in mind, Varus does a lot of damage at this stage in the game.
Chains of Corruption could be huge in this pit as well. Betty is going to toss it in.
Here we go, Chains of Corruption onto this squad. They're going to get the concussive blows onto Chris. That's one kill. Bullet time comes on through. Baron doing a lot of damage. Smite available, and it will be Tian that gets it. But it's going to be LWX falling. Tian can't get out. There's an arrow going through, and Betty gets a double for himself. 2 Baron buffs taken for FPX.
Crucially, though, it is on Gimgoon and Doinby, although potentially not Gimgoon for long. Langxing was looking for the top laner of FPX. But now, Baron is off the cards. We said FPX, the best way for them to navigate this game is by playing through side lanes. They've got Baron on Gimgoon, they've got Baron on Doinby, so now they can start this split push. But you can see here, this is the play that starts it all off. Look at where Xiaohu is positioned on your map. This is all fancy stuff going on your screen, I know, but watch the mini-map. Because Xiaohu is up past River, while everyone on the side of RNG is going down towards this bottom side to make the play. Xiaohu gets caught out, and because Xiaolong Bao tries to help out the veteran mid laner of RNG, it's the rookie who initially pays the price to be followed up very quickly by the veteran.
Yeah, they get the buy one, get one free kill there on the top of it as well. It's 2 kills for LWX, but it was answered later by Betty, who got the kills of his own. 5-0 and 2 on the Varus. And very much the focus of these next couple of fights. Dragon started up. It's RNG DPSing it down. Tian going to be there. Xiaolong Bao pops the Paranoia. Dragon resets as Langxing in the back line, but he's low and he's going to be finished off to start things off. Xiaolong Bao has to run away back to the rest of his team. Bullet time across the squad, and FPX, they've found the fight they needed. Betty finds one. Ming there to protect him, but they're 2 versus 4 right now, and Gimgoon will not let them escape. There's 2 for the Aatrox once again, and an ace for FPX.
LWX had the stopwatch available, which was the only thing that kept him alive in that fight. With everyone overextending to kill the AD carry, There was nothing left in the tank when LWX survived and the rest of FPX pounced. Now the Dragon, the towers are falling over, and one mistake from RNG has put FPX firmly back in the game.
Yeah, and take a look at the gold lead that they've got off the back of that. There was a ton of bounties for them to collect, and that's going to be 2,500 in their favor. 2 dragons apiece. But now they're the ones with the advantage when it comes to control.
This is why Xiaolong Bao needs that Guardian Angel. This becomes a very different fight if you've got this Nocturne continuously threatening the backline. You can see it here. Xiaolong Bao is holding off as long as possible until Longxin can get onto Miss Fortune. LWX goes golden, and that gives the opportunity for the rest of FPX to deal with this Nocturne in the back line before LWX respawns, and now Miss Fortune's free hitting in this fight. If you've got the GA available for this Nocturne, he can pop back up once again, have another opportunity to threaten the back line, and this will allow Betty to push forward and be undetected for longer in these fights.
Tian got 1,000 gold shut down there as well, and don't forget, next week, as in tomorrow, we will have the match of the week coming up for week number 4. It's going to be E-Star up against IG. That is not one to be missing. It's the top 2 teams in the standings right now.
Battle for top of the table will be taking place tomorrow, and I know for one I'm going to have my eyes glued to my screen for this game. But coming back to our current match of the week, RNG versus FPX, a 2k gold lead for FPX, and now with this Baron up in the 2.5 minutes, RNG moving in again to get control in around this objective. Make sure they're the ones that can have all their avenues covered and look for the dive towards the backline.
And it feels like this series is kind of harkening back to what we saw in the finals back in 2019. We saw that once FPX started to get momentum in the series, they carried it away. They lost game number 1, and then they got 3 games back-to-back. And RNG, they showed up in those games. They had convincing team fights, but ultimately, it was FPX that were the better team on the day. And here, feels kind of the same, where we're seeing glimmers here from RNG. We're seeing good stuff in some of the situations, but ultimately, the consistent team is FPX.
And of all the people in RNG to be looking the most consistent in this game in particular, it is Betty. 6-1-2 on this Varus, has just completed the Wit's End because he knows, hey look, the big problem I'm going to have is Doinby throwing an equalizer over on top of me, so let me get some of this magic resist into my build. And RNG have got to gather around this rookie and make sure that Betty can carry them through the team fights.
Certainly going to be a challenge for Betty, stepping up to the RNG roster, and we'll see if he's going to be able to survive these fights. He has a lot of people that will be jumping straight onto him, but with Ming by his side on this Braum, certainly will have a good amount of protection to work with. The biggest issue he's got is most of his team actually doesn't want to protect him. Most of his team just wants to jump onto LWX.
I think it's a bit unfair actually for us to be saying Betty's a rookie. We're kind of putting a, like, this guy has never played before, but this guy has come over from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, true.
Did play with Sword Art. So, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit unfair of us to be calling him a rookie, but definitely the new guy on RNG and the guy that we didn't expect to be in the starting roster for so long. With Uzi now coming back to the RNG household, potentially coming in the next few weeks, Betty has been the stand-in that has really outperformed on RNG. Has looked great in the start of this split. Once again, looking fantastic in this game. And I want to see if Betty can keep, like, at least keep this going or find himself somewhere where he can shine once more.
Find out if he's able to do exactly that in these team fights. FPX posturing around the mid lane here. Baron is on the map, and Ocean Drake will be up in 1 minute's time.
Ocean Drake definitely not the focus of these teams. Someone will probably wander over that way and pick it up just as an afterthought, but Baron is definitely the one that's on the cards. The Ocean Drake would put people on Soul Point, but you cannot be given over control of the Baron at 30 minutes into this game. Already FPX have shown how quickly they can snowball off of that objective, so RNG will want to make certain that they're in control before FPX can move in.
Not to mention the strength of the solo lanes on both of these compositions. If you do get the Baron buff, it becomes very difficult to deal with them Tian off on the flank there, but won't be able to find a way to get onto RNG here. And as you said, Baron going to be the focus here, but Ocean will spawn in 10 seconds. We could see one team just wander over, maybe someone solos it just to grab the objective for themselves. Look into the soul for later.
Xiaolong Bao is so close to that GA.
Oh, the flash engage comes on through. That's a depth charge only onto Ming, though. Betty still surviving. A lot of ultimates burned on both sides here. Langxing still with the Dominus up. World Ender available for Gimgoon. Neither team has an equalizer, though.
They'll be moving back in. Doinby, though, will have that back up quicker because Doinby actually stole away the Chains of Corruption from Betty. So has the opportunity with this ult now returning to steal it away for this Baron fight.
Here we go. This could be a game-deciding moment right here. Baron started off for the side of RNG, down to 2,000 HP. The smite goes down from Xiaolong Bao. Ming surviving for now. Look at LWX in the backline surviving from the burst. Langxing, Golden in the back. And it's Doinby to survive. The Kingslayer's huge, and he lasts the fight. Double kill for LWX. Another team fight for FPX.
The Baron might have gone to RNG, but the victory goes to FPX. Tian is scaring Longshin into the top lane, while the rest of XPX corral around the minions. They're going to crack the base.
They're looking to end things right here. FPX moving straight on towards the mid lane inhibitor. 20 seconds remaining on the death time of Xiaolong Bao. Langxing trying to delay things.
It's not going to be possible, though. Renekton's taken too low. FPX have taken both Nexus turrets.
In the rematch of our finals, FPX are going to go 2-0. The world champions will not be usurped. This throne is still occupied.